Mayor Mat Siscoe joins us this morning with an update of what's happening in St. Catharines. Let's start off with the Greenbelt. Everybody's talking about the Greenbelt.
Yep.
You have an area of Greenbelt in St. Catharines, but yours hasn't really been impacted.
That's right. We're wrapped on the west side by the Greenbelt. No changes were made to our boundaries and no areas were taken out. So we've managed to avoid it for the most part. But this conversation's happening across the province right now. So it's we're still involved because we have that land there. I will say my council has shown zero interest in extending any housing into the Greenbelt. Mm-hmm. You know, like we're smack in the middle of wine country. We're spending more time right now talking about trying to get irrigation out to the Greenbelt areas, working with the town of Lincoln next door to us to try and build out an irrigation system for a lot of the farms that are there. So we're not having conversations and running services to those Greenbelt areas.
Infrastructure services, you know, think about what cost is that to the city, to the communities?
Well, and that's exactly it. I mean, we're running into, you know, taxation issues right now in St. Catharines because it's expensive to replace the infrastructure we already have. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to have to turn around then and increase taxes to build out infrastructure into prime agricultural land that I said, middle of wine country, you know, prime agricultural land in Ontario, we're not going to pave that over.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about taxes.
Okay.
There's a new proposal to kind of mitigate the 10.5% tax increase that's coming, and this is going to be brought up. There was a very contentious last meeting of council. This is coming up on Monday. What's the new proposal here? So
we had a lot of conversations around the previous proposal, and a number of us voted against it because, to be blunt, what was being proposed isn't legal. You know, the Municipal Act governs municipalities, and it said we can't offer rebates, we can't offer chargebacks. I'll give credit to my colleagues, Councillors Garcia and Kushner. They've brought a new proposal forward talking about using our reserves next year to mitigate some of the concerns. And a lot of it mirrors what I was trying to bring forward. Some of it is new, Deputy Mayor Phillips as well, but we're going to bring that forward. It's going to allow us to smooth out the costs that are going to residents. And I appreciate the fact this is an example of our council working well together, continuing to have conversations even when we're having contentious conversations. And I think what we've got coming forward on Monday night is a much better plan. It will use some of the reserve dollars we have, but it'll provide relief, and it'll also allow us to build out other tax mitigation programs like the one I'm proposing. So we're trying to find multiple ways to help residents because we've heard them. And as I said, there are a lot of tax pressures. We have aging infrastructure in St. Catharines, and we deliver a level of services that residents are not willing to see cut. And that they were very clear to us. They didn't like the tax increase, but when I had conversations, people understood, you know, with inflation and the cost of the supply chain and everything else, they understood it, they didn't like it. This is our way to try and make things easier for residents. And again, I applaud my council. I think they did a good job working together on this.
Okay, so this is a way that people, if you're having problems with the tax increase, property tax increase, you might be able to apply to this reserve fund.
So there's going to be probably two programs built. Okay. One will be broad support for everybody. The other one will allow lower income seniors to be able to apply and be able to lock in their city side of the tax rate. And that still has to go through our budget committee, but it'll all come forward, and we're going to be having those conversations over the next couple of months.
Okay, we'll watch for that on Monday night then. Let's talk about some happy news.
Okay.
For St. Catharines right now. The Henley Regatta is on,
yes.
And you have people from around the world in your area right now.
Yes, we've got rowers from across the world, you know, British rowers, Ecuadorian rowers. We've got teams from India for the first time ever, 2,100 athletes, you know, and their coaches and their families through Port Dalhousie. And it blows my mind to think of this, 139 years that this regatta has been going on, and Henley Gold is a tradition that people really work towards, you know, and we know the kids who are coming through the Henley Regatta now, we're going to be watching them on television at the Pan Am Games and the Olympics in a couple of years. That's the caliber of this regatta. So very exciting times in Port Dalhousie.
Okay, still on the water. You want people to have input on their waterfront.
Yes, we have our Waterfront Access Master Plan, which is a long way of saying we want people to tell us, how do you want to be able to access the waterfront? We have a lot of it in St. Catharines. We've got beaches, we've got trails. We want we want the input from the general public. I will say there's not a whole lot of time for public input to continue, but if people are interested, engagestc.ca is our website, and they can go there and provide the feedback. We're going to be presented with a plan towards the end of this year. The council will have a chance to vote on. So public feedback's always welcome, but to get it into the plan right away, like now's the time at Engage STC.
Okay, and when's the deadline for that?
I believe the deadline on Engage STC is actually the 11th, which I think is tomorrow.
Oh, it is tomorrow.
So we wanted to make sure we mentioned it today just to get people out and giving that feedback, because the waterfront is, a lot of municipalities have done it wrong, and we want to make sure we preserve it for our residents.
Okay, Mat Siscoe from St. Catharines, thanks very much for joining us.